As musicians, our mandate is to create music that speaks to our time. Art is always shaped by its era, and recent advances in machine learning mark a technological and cultural shift that demands artistic examination. Just as previously, we electronic musicians embraced recording technology, synthesizers, and algorithmic composition, now we can explore the expressive potential of AI, finding new creative opportunities and subversive implementations. Our art can inspire conversations around the technology, help determine the ethical implications of its use, and shape its future through our speculative experiments. Of course, as we are seeing, some of the uses of AI for music creation can be threatening to artists, challenging authorship, and deprioritizing human expression. For this reason, it's useful to distinguish two broad aesthetic approaches in the use of AI: the focus on results and the focus on process. AI as an automated composer, or AI as an interactive system. The results of AI music creation, particularly the generation of music from text prompts, can be impressive, offering convincing imitations of past works and entirely new pieces in the style of existing artists. See David Cope's EMI, Google's MusicLM, OpenAI's Jukebox, etc. As a technical feat, this music is astounding. As expressive art, though, it has its limitations. As we know, AI operates through pattern recognition and recombination of existing data. These machine learning models are trained on vast datasets of existing, past information to generate new content. AI music models inherit biases from their training data, disproportionately privileging dominant musical traditions such as Western tonal harmony, commercially successful genres, and widely recorded artists. Furthermore, an output from these systems is deemed successful when it meets the expectations of these biases, perpetuating existing ideas rather than generating progressive ones. Clever artists will likely find opportunities here. As Ethan Mollick writes in Co-Intelligence, to get the AI to do unique things, you need to understand parts of the culture more deeply than everyone else using the same AI systems. But this prioritization of hegemonic past forms limits an AI's ability to generate new, external ideas. As Jaron Lanier wrote in Agents of Alienation back in 1995, an agent's model of what you're interested in will be a cartoon model, and you'll see a cartoon version of the world through the agent's eyes. New technologies should inspire new culture, not be subordinate to past culture. In the early 2010s, music critic and cultural theorist Mark Fisher argued that culture was already caught in a cycle of nostalgia, repeatedly recycling past styles rather than exploring new artistic ideas. He tied this obsession with retro to the slow cancellation of the future, describing people's loss of hope that the systems of the world might be improved from the status quo. Fisher argues that cultural production has become increasingly retrospective, fixated on past styles rather than innovation. Supporting this idea, consider how many contemporary science fiction films, a traditionally speculative genre, are intellectual properties that are over 40 years old. Dune, Star Wars, Star Trek, Mad Max, Alien, Transformers, Blade Runner, Planet of the Apes, etc. And how many of these film soundtracks consist of 1980s style synth music? Fisher writes, "Invited to think of the futuristic, we will still come up with something like the music of Kraftwerk, even though this is now as antique as Glenn Miller's big band jazz was when the German group began experimenting with synthesizers in the early 1970s. Generative AI risks deepening this cultural stagnation by automating nostalgia. When trained solely on existing music datasets and trained to reproduce existing conventions, AI-generated compositions privilege the familiar, rather than contributing to meaningful contemporary explorations. To repurpose a phrase from Christian Gossett's comic The Red Star, this use of AI becomes a machine that forges the past into chains for the future. AI's creative potential, however, is not limited to imitation. Many artists are now exploring the aesthetics of process in machine learning, interrogating its mechanics, and interacting with the AI, rather than simply asking the AI to interact with big data. To offer a few of the more mainstream examples, I mentioned David Cope's EMI as being concerned with results. But in Cope's later work, he worked more collaboratively with the AI Emily Howell in the late 2000s, which uses feedback on its output to try to craft a novel artistic voice. In a more contemporary example, Holly Herndon's album Proto from 2019 heavily features the AI Spawn, trained on voice data, as an improvisational partner. More recently, Herndon's Holly Plus, a more developed AI singer trained on her voice, has released a cover of Dolly Parton's Jolene, and a website now allows anyone to upload their own audio files to create their own Holly Plus cover. Significantly, these examples draw from smaller, personalized data sets, and they bring the focus to the process of creation. Arguably, in these cases, the AI models are the art, not their output. Our mandate as artists is to create music that reflects our time and imagine possible futures. To avoid cultural stagnation, artists can explore AI as an interactive environment with its own emergent behaviors, and perhaps its preference for the past, while bringing their own new perspectives to the conversation. Benjamin Tallis proposes that taking stylistic cues and inspiration from positive pasts is fine if they are transposed or transformed into new elements through the new technologies in the light of new ideas. No one owns the techno-future, and all technology is an extension of our human ingenuity and our humanness. As Brian Norton writes in his essay, Our Tools Shape Ourselves, technological development can destroy our sense of ourselves as rational, coherent subjects, leading to widespread suffering and destruction. But tools can also provide us with a new sense of what it means to be human, leading to new models of expression and cultural practices. If AI is indeed a transformative technology, its impact on the arts must extend to content.